Today we're going to have our fully functional IoT dashboard. Temperature data and the status of the relays coming to the screen. When we click a button, we can turn the light on or off. Last week, we set up our Node.js app to serve a page and talk to MQTT at the same time, but we didn't have the two-way communication going. Socket.io is going to give that to us, and we're going to have our fully up and running IoT dashboard. Let's do a quick tour of the setup so you know what we're dealing with here. We've got a bunch of ESP32s with temperature sensors. They're all attached to a mosquito broker. We've also got another ESP32 controlling a relay. That's what you saw turning the light on and off. The goal is to get this system to talk to a web page. Data from the system arrives at the web page. Data from the web page can go out to the system. 2 weeks ago, we set up a Node.js app to serve this page. And the point of that video is really just to show that you can do this with plain HTML. You don't need any of the high-end frameworks when all you're trying to do is render some data on the screen. Last week, we brought in MQTT, and we showed that a Node.js server can serve a web page and talk to a system through MQTT simultaneously. We didn't complete the path, though. We don't have two-way communication between the web page and our server. We're going to solve that today with Socket.io. I'm Larry from OhioIoT. You're watching one video in a series on how to make your own custom IoT systems. Subscribe if you want to see these in your feed. Like I said, we started out with the Node.js app, and we're serving our website with Express. You can see the code is not that deep, 5 lines total. That's a server, so if we spin it up, we can access our page in a browser. I'll turn on the logging here so you can get confirmation that this server is serving this page as I refresh. Let's get rid of that for now. You see the MQTT code is commented out. Last week we brought in MQTT, but we're going to ignore that code for now. You saw it commented out. Let's focus on getting Socket.io going. We've got to bring in a couple libraries. HTTP is native. You don't have to install anything to access it, but we do have to install Socket.io. With these added dependencies, let's manipulate our app. We're going to create a new server with it, and then pass that server to Socket.io. By the way, very important, at the bottom, you want to have the server listen on this port, not the app. I'm not sure how it does this magic, but we can confirm that it works by just console logging that we're connected and showing the socket ID. Moving on to our index.html, let me comment out these scripts so that we have no scripts running other than our Socket.io. Let's get that running first, then we'll bring those back. We can include a reference to the library in the head of our index.html, and then down in the body, let's call IO to give us a socket, and we'll have that socket console log when we've connected. When I refresh the page, you see that socket ID. Clicking many times, we're getting new sockets generated for us as we refresh the page. It's also useful to log disconnects. It helps you catch the state. Sometimes things don't work, and it's easier to see explicitly that you have been disconnected. So you see here I refresh a few times, and the first 2 sockets were disconnected, and we've now landed on the third. Let me rearrange like this, a little bit easier to see. On the back end, we're going to emit a socket to app talking and just send a random number every half a second. On the front end, we have to receive that. So we're going to say socket.on app talking, and we'll simply log the packet it receives. We refresh, and there you go. The back end is talking to the front end. It's sending those random numbers. We can do the same thing in the other order. In our HTML, we'll set another interval, and we'll emit a socket back to the back end. Let's call it HTML talking. Another random number every half a second. Let's go to the back end and tell it to listen for that. So socket.on HTML talking, we're going to get a packet and log that packet. And you can guess what this is going to look like. Both sides of the app are talking to each other live. Here's the two-way communication we've been trying to achieve. With that now set up, we can bring back MQTT and finish the end-to-end communication. Let's focus on the incoming stream first. Let me clear out these intervals. Let's just focus on getting the MQTT pushed through. You see our app is now connected but silent. I will re-invoke this MQTT code. We got this working before. We just bring in MQTT, subscribe to these two topics, and then whenever a message comes in, we're going to console log it. So we refire up, and on the bottom left there, you see data coming in to the server that's serving this page. We want to update the temp and status elements in our HTML. I'll uncomment the incoming.js because that's where I have these two elements already gathered. Okay, so average temp is the topic we want to capture on the way in. So when that comes in, we'll just emit a socket to temp. Notice here we did io.emit instead of socket.emit like we used previously. io.emit sends to all the sockets that are attached to the server. Remember, you can have several different browsers calling a page from a backend. Let me show you what I mean. Here's our original browser connection. It's connected with its one socket. But we can open up another window and connect that. And now you see we've got two sockets connected. Refreshing a few times, those get disconnected and reconnected, but in the end, we still have two sockets connected. io.emit will send to both of these. So in our incoming script, we've already grabbed our temp div. Do we have access to sockets here? The answer is yes. JavaScript in the front end loads differently. You see we've got two scripts here. All scripts are loaded onto the same context in the order that they're called. So if our first script creates a variable called socket, that socket already exists by the time we call the second script. So let's go ahead and use it. Socket.onTemp, that's what we just sent from the backend. Let's grab that payload and set our element text content to that payload. Refresh, and now we've got the value going into our website. Live data showing up. That's temperature. What about the status of our relay? This is not going to work the same here. We're going to get relay open or relay closed. We've got to parse this topic before we can use it. I'm going to split it on the slash. If the first part of the topic is relay, then we want to capture the second part of the topic and determine if our relay is on or off. When our relay says it's open, that means the circuit is open and it is off. Otherwise, it's on. Looking at the front end again, we're going to want to update the status element. So I'm just going to send this socket to status. Then in the incoming JS, let's grab that status and write its value to our status div. Fired up, we got the temperature, and then we get the relay status. So we've got both of our elements updated with MQTT data. Speeding up, you see it's live. Obviously, this is not by objective measures a lot of code, but I like to keep the implementation details out of my app.js. So I'm going to create what I'm going to call a mapper, and let's make one channel for our incoming data. I will take this logic and export it out to our new module. I'm not going to cover the logic here. We just did it. Let me just rearrange. And the point is that for average temperature, we're just going to return the payload. For our relay status, we're going to do a transformation to get it to the text we want in the page. And lastly, I'm going to return a namespace and packet, so this stuff's just ready to drop into the socket. Back in our app, we can eliminate all this. When a message comes in, I'm going to send it to the mapper. Let's call it incoming. And that's going to return a namespace and packet that we can drop into our socket. Console log's not going to work here because we have not converted that payload to a string yet, so I will place that in our mapper. Give it a little label. So you see it's working just the same, but we managed to simplify our app.js a little bit. You see you got the 2 decimal points. That doesn't look right to me. So I'm going to come to our front end, our incoming JS, and I'm going to convert that text to a number and then set it to 1 decimal point. Refresh. There, that looks a little more clean to me. Notice it takes a while for our relay status to come in. I'm going to refresh and watch that again. It takes a couple seconds and then eventually the data comes in. When data comes in every 10 seconds, it could take up to 10 seconds for the page to be current. We can solve that by adding some state. I'm going to create a state object and keep track of the data that's come in. And the way we bridge that time gap is by sending our state object to the front end every time a new page loads. I'm going to create a way to register values as they come in and keep them on an object. And then when a user loads the page, we'll get that object and send it to them. We create two functions. We'll bring them both into app.js, register value and get state. Every time a message comes in, let's register that value. And then whenever a user connects, let's emit the state. Notice we're now doing socket.emit. We're not doing the io.emit because this doesn't need to go to all sockets. It only goes to an individual socket when it first loads and no longer thereafter. On the front end, let's add a third channel. And by the way, I don't know how I started using payload here. I like to use packets for sockets and payloads for MQTT just to keep them distinct. So switch those to packet. And now when state comes in, we'll just manually update both our divs, spans, paragraphs, whatever they are. So now look, every time I refresh, we always get those values immediately, no waiting. It's much cleaner. That does it for the incoming stream. So let's do the outgoing stream now. In the front end, I've got this outgoing JS. I've already gathered the toggle button, ID toggle, and I added an event listener. And when I created this HTML, I talked about why pointer down is the go-to event to listen for here. So I need to do something when I click this button. But first, let's think through the logic. The device I want to talk to, the relay attached to the ESP32, it's listening for a topic command, and it wants to get an on or off with lowercase. My relay state is reflected in the status element. But in our front end, we either have a capital on or capital off. So since I want to toggle and get the opposite state, I'm going to gather the text in the status element. I know that if my relay state is on, I want to send an off signal. Otherwise, I'll send an on signal with lowercase letters. Once I get that value, I'll send it to the backend with a socket named command. So back in app.js, we want to handle that socket in our IO section because the command can come from any one of the sockets that are connected. So we're saying for each given socket, if you get a command, well, for now, let's just console log that packet. And it's not working because I forgot to uncomment the outgoing script. Okay, that will now load. So when we toggle, we see the button's working. It's getting to the backend. The only thing to do now is just simply publish that command out to the system. It'll hit the relay and turn the light on and off. So here's the light bulb moment in IoT. The first time you click on a website and watch a light turn on. We now have our fully live two-way IoT dashboard. So with that, let us wrap it up. We just built your IoT connected interface. As you build out your IoT systems, you're going to find logic distributed all over the place in different applications. Some of them are going to have interfaces, some won't. When you try to do things like this with HTTP, you end up in a port mapping hell where you have to keep track of IP addresses and ports all over the place. And whenever things change, it's a lot of work to keep things wired up. Next week, I'm going to show how when you do similar work with MQTT, that complexity evaporates. MQTT allows us to make microservices all over the place that talk to each other without getting wound up with the spaghetti mess you get with HTTP. Subscribe if you want to see that in your feed. Thanks for watching. I'm Larry from OhioIoT. I'll see you next week. OhioIoT is live. Automated graphs and dashboards, over-the-air firmware updates, WhatsApp messaging. You still program with setup and loop. Check it out at OhioIoT.